Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about the Amelthia campaign, our DC Marvel crossover, continuing with that story. And when we picked up, the Justice League Tribunal had voted yes, unanimously, to giving Dominic Savetti justice for his stolen sandwich deli in Detroit. Okay? So Superman says you have 15 minutes and we're out of, and we're, and then we're jetting off of the Watchtower. Okay. So I said to all the player characters, you have one action. What do you want to do? Okay. And I also told them I have a list of actions here that are logical, that will benefit you in the mission to come. And if you hit any of those, you'll get a bonus XP, right? So that list was equipping, recruiting, research, and I think there was one or two more items on there. I know there was like 5, but if they hit any of these, pre-listed activities, they got a bonus to XP. Okay. Centering themselves, like through meditation or something, or something like that, right? So we went around the table, and Harley actually did an equipping, an equipping montage in that amount of time. Amazo took a research action, and then the Muncher actually went to King Shark, who was in the brig, who was in the prison on the Watchtower, and actually had a discussion with him that exposed that conversation was just between Muncher and King Shark, and it became, and also along the line, this is actually something I saw in Forthright open roleplay that I used within the Index Card RPG, where, and I am definitely switching over all my games like this, where your player character can have any secrets they want from the other player characters, but your player can have 0 secrets from the other players, and it just makes the game so much more enjoyable and for everybody, and so much more inclusive. And so the player of Muncher exposed that Muncher was a member of the Suicide Squad, which had escaped from Amanda Waller. Okay, taking care of the head explosion device, and was an escaped member of the Suicide Squad. So there's an interaction between Muncher and King Shark, and at that point, and that's what they used that time for. So we went around, and everybody's doing their thing, and I circled back to the Harley equipping montage. And before I had this one-on-one scene with Harley, I said, all right, listen, you guys are all over the Watchtower doing your different things. How many of you want to be passing the doorway when this special scene happens with Harley, so that you can be included and you can have interaction there? So I went around the table, and everybody at the table is like, yes, I want in, or no, it's okay for me to not be interacted into that scene. And so the scene was Fire, the DC superhero who is made of green fire, comes into the room and addresses Harley directly while she's equipping for the mission. And and Fire says to Harley, says, listen, I've spent the last 3 months researching the death of, specifically researching the death of Poison Ivy. I know where she's buried, and I also figured out where Ra's al Ghul's Lazarus pits are. And so, right now, me and a team are going to resurrect Harley Quinn. Now, the reason I'm here talking to you is, during my research, I found that you and Poison Ivy had a close relationship, and that if anybody would aid me in returning her to life, it would be you, right? Well, the player character, thinks about it and has Harley say, no, I'm not, I'm not in, right? And the reason why is, you're right, that we had a very close relationship, but I'm part of the Justice League now, okay? Now, at this point, another player character jumped in and says to the Harley player character, you need to play Harley, right? Now, what that second, player character was saying, as far as saying play Harley, was he was referring to, the fact that Harley had a very deep relationship with Poison Ivy in the comic books, and saying, not choosing to resurrect her is out of character. Now, this was definitely a pinch point in the game, in that I was amazed, but the Harley player character changed their mind and said, yes, I'm in. Right? That's the great thing about tabletop role-playing games. You never know what direction the story's going to go, and player characters can have interactions between themselves, right? Now, yeah, so that's where we ended up. The Harley player character says, okay, Fire, I'm in. Everybody else comes up. Now, at that point, there are people who witness this at the door. Amazo witnesses this, and Jumper witnesses this. And so I said, hey, do the two of you do anything about this? Jumper says, nope, I'm out. I'm leaving this alone. And Amazo says, yes, I'm in, right? So Amazo goes into the room and says, Fire and Harley, I'm going to go help you resurrect Poison Ivy, okay? By the way, anybody doesn't know, Poison Ivy was killed by Dr. Doom in Gotham, okay? And then she was buried in the Botanical Gardens. It happened in earlier sessions, okay? All right, so at that point, we're at a point where now, basically Harley and Fire and Amazo are going to leave the Justice League to go resurrect a supervillain. And by the way, in our world, Poison Ivy is just straight up supervillain. Period. End of sentence. Right? And there's really few corners of the DC world, of the DC comics, where she's anything but a supervillain. All right. So with that said, they get in their shuttle, and this is at the exact same time when they were told by Superman, meet us at, they're in Hangar Bay 7, waiting to go down and rescue and actually resurrect Poison Ivy. And back, and then we shoot back over to Hangar Bay 2, and Superman's like, where's Amazo and Harley? So, Superman immediately just says, mind links to Martian Manhunter and says, tell the Flash to find those two, right? Flash finds them in Hangar Bay 7, right? Easy peasy, right? And so Fire and Amazo and all those guys are there. And Flash is like, knocks on the the window of the shuttle with Amazo and Fire and Harley, and says, hey, what are you guys doing? Well, Fire, he punches it and opens up the hangar bay doors, allowing in open oxygen, right? So at this point, Flash is in danger of dying because he can't breathe, vacuum. Right, but he uses his super speed, and he's able to begin to, and actually, he begins to save himself. Amazo interrupts that by using his super speed. Right, he goes out of the cabin of the shuttle and brings Flash in to save him. Flash continues to say, Fire, what are you trying to do? You trying to kill me? And then at that point he goes, you guys need to turn this shuttle around. Well, Fire is fully committed to resurrecting Poison Ivy, exactly what she said to begin with, right? So she continues forward, trying to complete her mission, and goes to punch the Flash. A skirmish comes in, and essentially Jumper and Flash and Fire begin to trade blows. Amazo then uses his super speed to swirl around, creating a vacuum of air and knocking out all three of them, right? By this point, Martian Manhunter and Superman arrive. They stabilize the environment in Transport Bay 7, so that there's now air in that transport bay. And Superman, and then they bring everybody up. By the way, Bud and Lou, Harley's hyenas are with her, and Lou is badly hurt, right? Harley dodged, and Lou caught one of Flash's punches, which essentially put him into a coma, right? So this skirmish was bad. It was, right out of the gate, it's pretty bad. So now you have everybody, all the superheroes, you know, and Superman and Martian Manhunter and Flash there with fire, and Superman demands of Amazo and Harley saying, what's going on, right? And, you know, and so they confess that they were going to help Poison Ivy be resurrected. And Superman's like, are you out of your mind? Okay, the two of you, I want you to report immediately to the brig. And the reason why is, you know, to the Justice League Watchtower prison. And you are now, both of your memberships and your ally status are fully revoked, and you will wait in prison for a Justice League tribunal to serve justice to you, because you have essentially tried to use Justice League resources without any consent of the Justice League to resurrect a supervillain, right? So Amazo goes, no, that's not right. You have it wrong, right? Superman. And Superman says, hey, you know what? I'm more than willing to hear you during the tribunal, but this is not the time and place. We've already had one skirmish, and I don't want another fight. I want the two of you to report immediately to the Watchtower prison, right? Well, and then Superman says, and I am not going to repeat myself. You go now, right? Well, Amazo goes, well, Superman, and Superman punches Amazo directly in the face, right? Took about a third to half of Amazo's hit points, and it kicked off an additional skirmish, right? So at this point, so everything starts over again, right? And only this time the skirmish is shut down very quickly by Jumper, and Jumper actually stops Amazo from decompressing and exposing to vacuum once again the entire transport bay, and then also make sure that Fire is going to use the chaos to escape, and Jumper stops Fire from escaping, right? And there's a skirmish between everybody. There's some blows traded, right? No one dies or is knocked out, and everything's shut down quick enough with Martian Manhunter, Superman, and the Flash really getting the best of Fire and Amazo. Oh, yes. Forgot that. So, Superman goes again to punch Fire. Goes again to punch Amazo. Amazo then, at that point, he had absorbed Beast Boy's powers. He uses his Beast Boy's powers to transform into a flea and hides. And everyone fails their perception checks, and essentially he escapes. So everyone but Amazo is taken into custody, and Harley said from the beginning that she fully intended to comply with what Superman was saying, that she would report to the Watchtower prison, right? So at this point we end with this segment with Fire in custody, Harley in custody in a Justice League prison, with being accused of attempting to support and at minimum resurrect a supervillain. Okay, and also Amazo on the lam in disguise on the Watchtower. Okay, and at that point also that was the resolution, and everyone gathered to leave for. To actually go down to Amelthia, where Black Knight and Lady Anna were, to actually handle the mission that had come out of the previous Justice League Tribunal, where they had voted to give Dominic Savetti, the person with the Detroit deli, the justice, right? And so at this point, I have two player characters that really are not able to join that mission, right? Now, this thing is one of the things I absolutely love about Index Card RPG. Index Card RPG is legit 10-minute character creation. It is one of the fastest character creation systems I have ever seen. So I told the player for Harley, and I said, hey, make up a new character. You can choose whoever you want, right? And that person has those DK books. They have 1,000 DC heroes to choose from and 1,000 Marvel heroes to choose from. Actually, you know, both of those books probably have 300 villains in there, but you get the idea. All right, 300 villains each in each one of those books. So it's really 700 and 700. But it's a lot, you know, so there's a lot of options. And even many of the villains can be brought over if you just find the right way to sell it, right? So it was really significant. I was very, very surprised with how things went. And at this point, you have this situation where, the player for Harley switched over to play Guy Gardner. Yes, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, okay? And then Amazo is on the lam and cannot join the team. Well, Amazo actually got the player who's playing Amazo had triggered a milestone reward. And one of the milestone rewards for Amazo is to choose a brand new power from one of the DC or Marvel heroes, right? And essentially it's saying, hey, Amazo has had this power and the ability to use it, or has recently gotten this power and the ability to use it. So the player chooses for Amazo shape-shifting from Mephisto's power, which means that player now has the ability to actually shapeshift into any character they choose, and they actually choose to shapeshift into Speed. Speed, then, the superhero Speed, I'm pretty sure it's a DC superhero, then joins the away team, and so we're back to having the full crew. So you have Muncher, you have Jumper, you have Jericho, you have Green Lantern, and now you have Speed. Green Lantern is a replacement player character because Harley is in jail, and Amazo is in disguise as Speed, right? And that's how we ended that scene, right? And when we ended, they were all ready to go down to Amelthia and actually begin interacting with that mission that they had agreed to give justice to Dominic Savetti. And so that's what happened with Poison Ivy's interrupted resurrection. Take care.